let's get our motivations about what we're about to do. It's a really intensely important class, this class. Out of all the classes in Karma. Karma itself is an amazing course. And hopefully I'll be able to share with you the incredible subtlety that is in this class. So for some reason it's us.
You're not known for subtlety, Hector.
Huh?
You're not known for subtlety, I'm afraid. But I have a feeling you can do it.
Let's try and generate as much of a perfect environment we can in our minds for the next couple of rounds.
Tashi puki jishin neto cham viram dingshin nindegam padi sange shindu nite uais Shokun nanda shila dupasho Vilam Guru Ratnam Nandalakam Niryatayami Sange Churam Saki Choknama Jongchu Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Jinye Gipe Sonamki Drola Penchir Sange Drupasho Sange Churan Soki Choknamla Jamshu Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Jinye Gipe Sonamki Drola Penchir Sange Drupasho Sange Churan Soki Choknamla Janshu Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Jinye Gipe Sonamki Drola Penchir Sange Drupasho.
Okay, take a comfortable seated position. Consider your motivation, and let's get our minds from every day to special day. Okay. Sit by there.
Let's see this way.
Yeah, get closer. It's nice. So just get in a comfortable seated position and get prepared to just let go of the concerns of your body first, and then your mind, your senses, withdrawing. So make sure your body is comfortable first, and you could leave it alone for the next 5-10 minutes. The way to do this is you just scan your body from the bottom to the tip of your head. Make sure you're comfortable. It's not about being in a perfect posture, it's about being in a posture that you can forget your body. The way to start shifting the awareness from the body, once you've scanned and released any tension around your shoulders or your eyes or your brow, begin to bring the focus to the tip of your nose and your breath. You watch it entering and exiting your nostril. You get lost in their sensation until you are nothing but their sensation. And if you steer away from focusing on the sensation, you just gently bring the mind back to it until you're mostly on the sensation of the air entering and exiting your nostril. Just do a few rounds of that. if you can generate some joy and this relaxation into the focus, allow that to come. And relax into it. It's okay to be clearly focused and relaxed. Now I'd like you to imagine a most private place, somewhere far away, a room where we call it your golden room, where you can be all alone. It's just you. There's a huge window overlooking a valley and a mountain range. Huge blue sky above the window. You look out. The sky is endless, horizon to horizon. Big valley in front of you. You're in a really special place. The sun is on the horizon, filling the room with golden light. You feel the warmth on your skin. Everything is painted glistening gold. You take one more look at the deep sky. It's massive. And then you take a seat in your meditation cushion, covered in golden light. And it feels like what you're doing right now, perfectly seated, your mind at ease. And in this place, it's just you. You invite your teacher, your Lama, the most evolved being you can imagine. You ask them to please come. You see them entering the room. You take a seat in front of you. You can see their presence, vibrant in golden light. You can feel their presence. Maybe you can feel their energy in front of you, like gravity that pulls you towards them. Maybe you get a fraction of a scent from them, beautiful scent. Could you imagine them smiling, seated just in front of you, only you and them? And for you they encompass all knowledge, all compassion, filled with the highest qualities of a being. Love. And it's born in your heart to offer them something of beauty, just to give them something. They experience it as complete bliss. Maybe you offer them a thought or an object or a memory. But whatever it is they capture and they experience it as perfect bliss. Maybe one of their senses engaged on the object that you're offering. This is only perfection. It occurs to you that your mind could be like theirs. So you look for any obstacles in your mind, any obstructions, any negativity you recently planted. You look for it to root it out. You look perhaps at the last 24 hours and you see where your mind or speech or actions creating negativity rather than positivity in the world. You stop at that moment and you try and learn from it. You get some sense of regret. for having acted or said something or thought something that's contrary to the way you wish the world would be. In your heart, you learn from this. You make a pact to try not to do this again the next time the opportunity appears. And you're comforted by the thought that you're able to stop yourself next time. And then your mind starts looking at how you are getting closer to that state of being that is equal to that teacher in front of you. Where in the last day or so have you had your greatest success at bringing joy or wisdom, love or compassion to this world of yours? Where have you made efforts to really understand the way things work? Where did you refrain from doing a negativity? Where did you do a goodness? And you let your mind rest at one of those points in time. You observe yourself again and again doing that action or saying that or thinking those thoughts that are virtues, that are goodnesses in your mind. And you feel happy for having done so. This is how you progress towards freedom. Allow yourself to feel a joy for getting closer. You're doing well. And then it occurs to you that maybe there are other people on the planet also getting closer. So you allow yourself to feel joy for other goodnesses that are happening in the world that you know. People that are doing great things with their lives. People that are helping others get out of suffering. Feel happy for them. They are creating the perfect world. And then you ask your teacher to please always show you what's next to learn, to teach you how to get the deepest lesson from anything that occurs to you. Ask them please to always come and show you. This bond between you and them gets stronger than every. You ask them to please always stay close and very good. And you watch them get smaller and rise up. Turn to face the same direction you're facing until they're floating just above the tip of your head. They're getting slightly translucent, glowing with light, representing wisdom and compassion. You imagine their deepest qualities. The most perfect state that a mind could be is just there above your head, glowing in light. That light carries that energy of their perfection. That light lives into your body. And you let that enter you. Purifying any obstacles to your learning, to your happiness, to your understanding of where the world comes from. Until you are filled with light. Every organ in your body begins to get translucent. And any physical ailment fixed. any mental ailment. Yes. And then you realize that as you're spending time creating a mental image of your teacher, of these states of being, you are actually abiding in that state of being. Where is this playing out? Who are you when you are in that space? So with that state of mind, you can come back to the room. Hello. Make business today.
No, no, we don't Flavia.
So, yeah, I was supposed to do that. Like the website on MySQL.
Yes, that's how you know, for us too. Everybody, it's good. Has this on this list.
Right. So, I encourage you, go to that website, pull down the homeworks and quizzes, even the answer keys, everything, do the ones you haven't done before. You do really beautiful if you can finish ACI 5 with all the paperwork done, especially because it's such an important course. Remind me. That's an announce. And you can charge of that announcement in the middle. Okay. So I'm not going to review class 1, 2, 3, but I will review 4. Because I think I rushed it, because I think we did a good job last week for those of you that were here to review in practicality what 1, 2, and 3 do. So in essence, class 1 really talked about what's the definition of karma, what is karma. And we said, okay, that's the movement of your mind, yeah? Because we said that your entire world is created by karma. So we now go deep into what does that mean? And then we looked at the types of karma. There's lots of ways to divide karma, but essentially there's the stuff that's motivating an action of speech or body, and then this motivated action of speech or body. So the 2 types there. That was class 2. And then class 3 we said, well, out of all the actions that we do, so body, speech, and mind, they come in 3 core flavors. Yeah? Positive, negative, neutral. Yeah? Virtues, non-virtues, neutral kinds. So this is saying your entire world is created by this stuff. It's in your mind moves, it's got these flavors. The core of it is motivating, the others are motivated by that thing, which led us into class 4 last week, where we said, okay, what happens when we do this? And we talked about the 10 non-virtues, we looked at some of the correlations, then we rushed them. So let me just quickly summarize what happened last. We said that there are 3 types of experiences that come from karmas. They can come at 3 different times. So whatever you do, whatever movements of body, speech, and mind, whether positive or negative or neutral, will come back to you. You will experience them. They will write them for you. Namin. In 3, there's 3 ways that they would come. The one is they would come
This life.
So you could, if this is a different, if this is the way reality works, yeah, and not the way we think it is, that's an ignorant view according to the Buddha. If this is the way, the law of gravity equivalent for how things work, then he's saying, you know, you do stuff Equal and opposite reaction means you're going to get similar stuff back. We'll get into that at later times. But it's either going to be a positive experience, a negative experience, or a neutral experience based on mostly your motivation. Yeah? But it's coming to you, it's coming right back at you as your universe, as your world. And one possibility is whatever you do this life will come to you this life. Yeah? This is key. And if I was sitting there again, I would be grasping onto that idea. Because this is the foundation to how to get enlightened in one lifetime. This is the foundation for Tantra, for how to open up the mystic world, the magic world, the experience of seeing yourself transformed from whatever you think you are now to a being that is outside the wheel of life, outside samsara, and free from suffering completely, either in nirvana or in Buddha. Yeah? So that's one time period that the things we do, say, or think now can manifest as our universes in this life. Yeah? That's a huge point. So we'll delve a little deeper into that today. I'm excited because there's so much content today that if I was there again, I would be grasping onto how do I find out how to make that work. The next one is, okay, karmas, actions, deeds that we do in this life can come next life. And in fact, my experience with most practitioners is, in the sutras too, absolutely is that, I just keep a very ethical life, I'll do all the right things, I'll avoid the 10 non-virtues, I'll avoid being a shithead, and I'll be a good boy or girl. And it'll come. I'll have another human rebirth, so long as I don't come back as a dog, And that's been my experience of most practitioners in the Eastern world. Sutras. Tantrikas are different. And then if it doesn't come then, well, it'll come next life, or life after that next life.
Next life.
Which is the 3 periods of time, right? Now, there's 4 types, according to the Abhidharma, 4 types of actions or karmas that would definitely ripen into an experience, which has an implication. Because sometimes you can damage a seed or an imprint, so it doesn't have to quite result in the same experience. So that's the implication. But what are the 4 types of things that would definitely ripen into an experience?
Something with strong emotion?
Good, strong emotion. So,
one that's directed towards a holy object?
Yep, directed towards a holy object. I've been thinking a lot about this, like the Abhidharma and all the other commentaries are talking about holy objects and things. What's holy for you? Because it's not like a holy object because Buddha said it's a holy object.
Right, so it could be anything.
It can be anything, but it needs to be, and you need to be self-aware enough to know what's holy for you. Use another word, don't use holy. Use a high object, a highly potent, energetic object. Object meaning person, thought. An object here, if you did the previous course, the Dharma, is an existing thing. So out of all the existing things, and here are some keys, okay, will definitely ripen into a future experience. You marry that, which is a strong emotion,
Holy object.
a holy object or a heightened object. What's the next one? Repeat it. You do it over and over and over. And the last one?
Don't kill your mother and
Killing
father.
your mother or father, doing something towards your mum and dad. Right? You marry those 4.
Don't kill your mother.
Don't feel mum and dad. Mentally, how many times? My mum I used to play with my brothers and sisters. Sometimes I would do something naughty, not very often. And my mum could be on the other side of the house, and I have no idea how her hand would be in front of my face. Like instantly, as soon as I said the bad word or something, she would be on the other side of the house. Instantly, And she would get me so, like, how did she do that? How did she know I was about to be naughty? She was washing clothes 5 seconds ago. I saw her. That's why I was being naughty. And I would, if she really hurt me, like if I felt hurt by her, I would sit there and go, please God, kill her. No, seriously, I would ask God to. And then
South
once,
Americans are so passionate.
once my anger went away, I realized I can't live with that mom. You know, it's like, don't to kill her anymore. Stop killing her. But any action like that towards mom and dad. This is what this is saying. So you marry that to the 3 times that these things can do it, so you're beginning to get a hint at how to really manipulate karmas so that you get results in this lifetime. Yeah? So they're definitely ripen. So you got that? Will definitely ripen if strong emotion, holy object, done repeatedly, and something towards mom and dad.
The holy object part is, since it's a noun, and I'm sorry I wasn't here, so what is that? Like what, how is that an action?
Done towards a holy object.
So anything done.
An action
Any-
done towards
any
it.
action.
This is any action
It's an action
done with a strong emotion.
With the steroid.
So action of the 3 types of actions, which are motivated karma or motivated karma. Anything done towards a holy object.
Object meaning a person also.
Person also is an object. Yeah, in here. Yeah. A dharma, an existing thing. You can do it to an inanimate object. You could do it towards a dog, you could do it towards a stranger, you can do it towards a friend, you can do it towards an enemy, you can do it towards your lover, you can do it towards a mom. You could do it towards an idea of them. Like it's a mental movement. You're sitting there going, no, God, please kill her. I'm having a karma. I'm creating a movement of my mind towards a holy object, my mother, who made this thing. Even if she was mean to me, she made this thing with which I am here. By that very nature, she is a holy object. Doesn't matter if she bashed me first in my life. I take the bashing, I love the bash, whatever, but for the very nature of my existence, she's a holy object. Yeah? Anything else. Mental, verbal, physical. But, so you can begin now to, if this is true, you can use it to manipulate how your experience of your universe comes. So, and this is another part, 2 parts. Another slice on how karmas can be sliced. What are 2 special features of a karma or a deed that make it ripen in this lifetime?
Numbing.
It's similar stuff. Another one is the same kind of thing. An object done towards an object that's in future.
Yeah, a powerful object. Yeah, so something done towards a very powerful object will ripen in this lifetime. This is slightly different between definitely ripening and ripening in this lifetime. So they're presenting the same thing, right?
And then with compassion.
Extraordinary motivation. Anything done with super strong motivation.
So it's not just compassion.
It's not just compassion. Okay? It's very powerful, extraordinary motivation. And done towards a powerful object. This is the key to Tantra. This will ripen in this lifetime.
And then with Geshe Kashe, when he was here
Yeah.
teaching, said that Saddam Hussein getting caught, getting killed was an instance of karma ripening in his
In this
lifetime.
lifetime.
And that confused me because as a Hadith, would this be because his atrocities were so highly charged and
Extraordinary
Extraordinary
motivation,
motivation.
powerful object.
Yeah.
He's taken on, depends for him on the karma.
Yeah.
But you could say the same for him. You know? So let's regress a little bit. Actions of body, speech, or mind. Let's take mind for a second. Because that's mostly what you're in all day. That drives what you say and what you do. What would be a very powerful object for your mind in your life? When you're thinking about him, what's a powerful object?
Your partner.
What?
Well, you spend a lot of time with them, first of all, and you hopefully chose them because you have strong emotions for
You're
them.
fully invested in them. They are your gateway to happiness. They're charged up with all these subconscious assumptions, true or false. This is what your mind believes. That's why you have a partner. Yeah. So your partner can become a high object. Yeah. So extraordinary, very powerful or extraordinary motivation, let's say towards your partner. What could be extraordinary, outside the ordinary, not normal motivation or powerful action? What could be that towards your partner?
Anger.
Excellent. So it could be anger. You could really, but really angry, because I mean we're mostly angry. You know, extraordinary. Anger is pretty ordinary. So hint, okay? Shouldn't be hinted, but hint. You see your partner. They are a high object. You recognize this. You have some awareness. Yeah? Extraordinary motivation, outside the ordinary. The ordinary illusion in this world is that things come from themselves, that your partner is just a guy or girl. Extraordinary here could mean you see them as a vehicle for your enlightenment. You see them as an emanation of some wisdom. You force your, if they are empty of having that nature, they could have any nature. So you charge up your motivation, extraordinary, and you begin to interact with them as if they are someone extraordinary. And if you do that with a strong emotion, if you do that repeatedly, you have holy, which is then you might have a strong response in one life of actually seeing them transform and yourself. Yeah. So then we talked about what makes an object special in general. So what makes an object special? So out of all the objects, let's take all the life on this planet. You had one karma left to get enlightened. One, just one. You had to do the right deed, otherwise down to the hell realms. You go. What qualifies something to be a special object, a high object?
Someone who just is excited to us.
That's right. So we went through an example of 4 types of creatures, humans, who had either become Aryas, who are arhats, who had just seen emptiness directly, got close to the ultimate nature of realization, got to a very deep state of meditation. But the assumption here is they are so close to enlightenment. They are so close to be free from suffering completely, and they, because of their understanding, can change so many other lives. Makes them more powerful than a dog who's just scratching themselves. It's nice to have a dog. Yeah, it's nice to have an average dog. Unless the dog is really close to enlightenment, he can't help all the other dogs. You know? Unless it's you. So a higher form of life is something close to enlightenment, is one qualifier of a special object. The other one, which I didn't cover deeply last week, is someone or something in a deep state of suffering. If you can help someone stop a deep state of suffering, like an extreme hurt, an extreme suffering, extreme hunger, like starvation or something like this, and you can help them. That qualifies for a special object. Yeah? Because you're seeing yourself continuing your life, removing deep pain. And if karma is equal and opposite reaction, you must experience what you planted. What's the natural result of removing the deepest suffering? You let that grow and expand. Right? So, serious or strong suffering. The other one, the third one, is having given you great assistance. So, a being or something, someone that has given you great assistance qualifies them to be a special object. Yeah, you could say all these things. Well, you could say this for your mum and your dad, for having given you your body, for feeding you. If they had given you birth, and see ya. Who fed you? Who changed you? Who went to work and got your clothes? Who put up with your screaming, with your cooing, with your weaning, with your vomiting, with your screaming, you know? Snot, and all the other things that they do. But for years, for years, or all their life given to you. Yeah, to make sure you continue. And then the last one again is having a high spiritual quality, someone that's close to, or having seen emptiness directly, or some kind of heightened quality that lets them share in this world how to stop suffering, because they understand how to do it. So that's what qualifies someone for a special object. And the last question was 4 different types of consequences that come from an action. Do you remember this? I covered it really quickly towards the end. The 4 consequences that come from an action. Numbing is one of them. Ripening, meaning if you do a terrible action, give me an example of a numbing, of a ripening.
If you do a terrible action,
Or any kind of numbing result, right?
something negative will happen to you.
Yeah, okay. Good. Anything else? Very quiet. Is it Valentine's?
Wait, say again, these are the 4 consequences of what?
4 types of consequences resulting from a karmic action.
4 types of
So
consequences.
every karma will have these 4 flavors, if you like. You will get a ripening. So for example, a bad karma can lead you to, out of all the realms of existence, it can take you to a lower birth than a human birth. According to this system, a hell realm, or a ghost realm, or an animal realm. You still experience your world coming from your karmas. You still have an experience of this world, like an animal in the jungle might have. We're looking at the same tree, you and them, but they're seeing something different to what you're seeing. Yeah? Why is that? Why is it that they're looking at the same object you are, but they have no capacity to apprehend it in its fullness or to be free from whatever threats of that object is to them? So the explanation here is a karma. A seed is ripening, creating. The ripening of that is your whole existence is of a lower existence than what you are now. The other different type of consequence is you'll get a corresponding experience. So if you, let's take any of the 10 non-virtues. If you steal, if you're sitting around going, what can I take from other people? And just continue to do that. It will ripen as a corresponding experience, meaning you'll lack stuff missing. You won't have enough stuff. Corresponding experience. So first one is a numbing, a ripening of your entire existence. It could be in another way. Second one is corresponding experience, meaning you hate, you'll be hated. You know, you love, you'll be loved. You steal, you'll be stolen to. You protect, you'll be protected. You give, you'll have abundance. I mean, that's what it's saying. It's corresponding experience. And then what happens? What's the third one? Yeah, you begin to have a taste for that thing. You begin to develop a corresponding habit. So karmas, 4 flavors of experience of a karma. Yeah? The third one is you build a taste for that thing. I mean, I remember observing myself as a child, grabbing a little lizard and cooking it alive, making a fire, and being so interested to see its guts burst open and seeing it. It was revolting. And I remember seeing myself do it, and I didn't know what was compelling me to do this. I knew it was hurting the thing. There was a morbid wanting to hurt. But I couldn't tell, it was a little out of character for me. I couldn't tell where it come from. In this explanation, it would be a karma, the echo of a karma. Yeah, forcing me to want to do that thing. Then I did it slightly worse with mice, because I was told to like adults, so to chop their heads off. And it had the same flavor. So you build a taste for us, a way of being. And you don't even question it, you just, it's like an impulse. It's a habit. And then the last is
Environmental.
your environmental results. So one karma. Stop fighting, please.
Just taking my thunder and I finally did my homework. for once.
I was just cheating.
So the last one is your environment is created out of the background information and the kind of beings that you're around, the circumstances of your environment are there to support that karma for right here. So if you, let's take abundance, let's take giving as a karma. You see yourself with generosity and a kind heart, wanting others to have stuff, etc. Then your environment is conducive to you having work opportunities, and you can do anything you want, and here's some extra money, a bonus for you, and like, I haven't done it. Here's a bonus anyway, you know? It's that kind of thing. And then there are correlations. John Carper gave the correlation between the time of temporal purchase and the kind of environmental correlations. That homework and quiz for class 4 is important to understand class 5. So we talked about, you know, what happens when you do these deeds, positive, negative, etc. Now, I think a fundamental question for Westerners is to understand, how is this carried? Like, what do we think? Where does this all sit? Like, how does it, where is it? Is it here? You know, like, this is an idea about how our world is produced. It's saying that it comes from the movement of our minds. How is it sitting there? How is it growing? How is it that I've got karmas for lifetimes after lifetimes? How come I'm seeing myself compelled to do certain things or to observe my body as this kind of thing and have this impression of it, and you have a different impression of this same thing? What makes that and that? And where does that sit? Etc. And for that, we're going out of the Abhidharma. So I have to teach you like 4 different things today, a little cerebral, okay? The first thing is the schools of Buddhism. Do you know the 4 schools? The Indian schools? The
Parts.
Huh?
What is it? Parts.
That's
like the, I don't know, the high one, which is like the mind, the ultimate mind.
cool.
I don't know what that is.
So there's all these names for the different schools of Buddhism in India. I'm going to use the word lower because that's what everybody understands, but it doesn't mean that it's lower. It just means it has a more basic understanding and explanation that communicates to a bunch of people that get that. It's useful for that. The Buddha taught that. That's the Abhidharma, yeah? Which is the text that we're learning from right now. The Abhidharma, the text that explains where all existing beings come from. We're looking at chapter 4, which is about karma. This is the lowest of the 4 schools. It's also known as Vaibhashika, Chitamoa, or knowledge school. Okay? This school is Hinayana, meaning they see free from suffering as the ultimate goal. Yeah, Nirvana. There's no Buddha here. There's no bodhicitta like Mahayanists. Mahayana means great people. Yeah? So it's 2 divisions of Buddhism, if you like. Hinayana, Mahayana. Hinayana is all about getting enlightened, so you getting enlightened. Mahayana is called great people, it's about you getting enlightened with all your rights. Yeah? You and everybody else. Okay. So we've been studying from the Abhidharma text, from Hinayana text, from Master Vasubandhu, because it's explaining the cosmology of where things come from, and chapter 4 describes how karma exists. The basics of karma come from this, but there are 3 other explanations of karma, each one having a more subtle, a deeper, broader range of understanding. So we're going to jump to the 3rd school. We're going to jump to a Mahayana school called the mind-only school. And for today, for tonight, we're mostly going to be in that school.
Just for our notes, what's the 2nd school?
The Sutra school. So the Sutrists, or the logic, or the Sautantrika. So if you want to learn this is useful. I keep myself a chart because every time I learn something new, these are 4 ways to explain the same thing. Yeah? And depending on who you are, one of these ways will help you. And once you get that, you will jump to the next level of understanding. Yeah? We're mostly teaching from the highest school most of the time, but we're presenting the different schools because these ideas are helpful to get our mind onto a subject, grasp on, and then when we come to an edge that we fall off, we can move up a school. The example here that we'll use today is, you remember the Abhidharma talked about how karma, communicating karma and non-communicating karma. Non-communicating karma is carried like a veil on you. This is the lowest school, like this is sticky veil on you. Well, the mind only says, no, that's not true. It's not how karma follows. But you could get the idea of a veil sticking to you for a little while until you came to, it doesn't make too much sense.
That was the aura?
Yeah, the aura. Yeah, excellent. So that's Abhidharma talk. That's the lowest school. That works. You can understand that. Yeah, that helps. It's not a veil. It's not an aura. It's not. But it helps you understand as a metaphor. Yeah. So now we're going to push it up a notch and go, well, is it that? Because if it is, that's got all these complications. Where does it sit? You know, what's the solidity of that? Where does it stick to here? Does it stick to here? Yeah. So for the 4 schools, for those of you who want to know, school number 1 is the Abhidharmas or the Vaibhashikas, Chittamoa. School 2 is the Sutra or Logic schools, Sautantrika. School 3, which is the school we'll go into today, is the mind-only school. This is Chitta Mantra or Yogacara. Yeah? You'll hear these words, you can look them up, Google's got good explanations, although a little bit from the view of a Western, like the first text found in the mind-only school was in the year blah blah blah, meaning it didn't exist before then. Something like that. I think that's a good indicator.
So that was the great deal.
Good. So school 3 is a Mahayana. They have the whole idea of bodhicitta. Excellent. They have the goal as Buddhahood. Yeah, good. So mind-only school is really useful for the idea of karma because they've got a magnificent explanation and it's accepted by the higher schools, and that's why we're going to that today. So, and then the Madhyamika is the highest school. This is the school of the Gelugpas, the Dalai Lama, Tsongkhapa, and that's got 2 divisions. Okay, so the Mahayanas start at the school number 3, mind only. The Madhyamika Svatantrika is 4A. The Madhyamika Prasangika, the consequentialists, are the highest of all schools. Very subtle differences, mainly on the way they understand dependent origination and emptiness. Yeah? Karma and emptiness. Dependent origination and emptiness. So that's mainly the difference, and they are just different explanations of the same thing. So don't forget, we're looking at a map. We are not looking at the terrain. We're looking at an explanation of a thing. We're not looking at the thing. And that thing can be explained in 4 different ways. It's like Google Maps with satellite view, map view, or the rat view. Has anyone seen the rat map?
No.
Bushwick is all red. It's revolting. There's a rat map of New York, Stephen showed me the other day. It's like postcode, like zip code. It's like, but it's all just covered in rats. Bushwick is like rattier.
I was hoping you meant it was the rat view.
No, yeah, from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Rat
The
can.
last 2, Hector, are both Madhyamika?
Sorry?
The last 2 are both
Both Madhyamika. Yeah, Madhyamika Svatantrika and Madhyamika Prasangika. Svatantrika. S-V-A-T-A-N Trika. Svatantrika. And Prasangika. So they're both middle way schools. Madhyamika, middle way. And then one's Svatantrika, which I can't remember what it means, but Prasangika means consequentialist. And it's just about the way they explain emptiness and dependent origination. We'll get to that today. But our minds, for now, I'm going to involve your minds into the mind-only school. And for that, we're going to go to a text called Uma Gompa. Say Uma Gompa
Uma Gompa
Rapsel.
Rapsel.
So Uma. Anyone know anyone called Uma?
Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman. So Professor Bob Thurman's daughter, he called her Uma. He teaches Tibetan, or he taught at Columbia for years. He was the professor of Eastern Studies over there. So he called his daughter Middle Way Uma. Yeah, which was just lovely. So that's where her name comes from. And this text that we're reading is a Madhyamika Prasangika text. So it's a text of the highest school, written by Jetson Karma, explaining the mind-only view of how karma works. Are we there? Good. So the text we're studying will give you a hint, the title will give you a hint of what it is that we're covering. It's saying Uma means middle way, Gompa means real intent. So what it really meant to say, what he really meant to say, or what was really meant to be said. Yeah? That's what Gompa. And Rapsel is total clarification. So the translation for the text that we're covering now in this class is the total illumination of the real intent of the middle way. Yeah?
Is this related to the Sutra of My True Intent, or is that something different? Isn't there a sutra called the Sutra of My True Intent? No, we're not talking about that.
No. Not that I know of. I don't think this is okay. So, real intent of whom?
Well, he's saying it's the mind-only school's real intent, or the Buddha's real intent.
He's mainly saying Chandrakirti, who's the one who's mostly riding around middle way, but he's saying let's clarify what's really meant here. And you are correct insofar as that they'll continue to quote the Buddha when you talk about mind only to clarify the explanation of how karma works, and they'll use that's what they're clarifying. Yeah, that's what they're looking at, the real intent. So the mind only school derives its name from this very idea that we're covering today, how karma stays in the mind. How is it that karma stays with us? How is it carried from moment to moment? How does it function? So that's where they get their name from. And this perspective that I'm about to share with you and show you, I need you to focus to say, well, we're actually talking about where my reality comes from. I'm actually talking about everything I do and say and think produces every aspect of what this is. And this school is saying it's carried in my mind. Yeah? How is it that it's carried there? So it's very important. All the other schools, the high schools, accept this view from the mind-only school for one or two tiny, tiny differences that have big implications, right? And I'll share with them later on in the class as well. So it's very important. Listen intently because it's correct. It's how karma. It is how karma works, according to this. So let's use an example of the yelling man. This is how I got sucked into this whole thing. So let's say you all got this. Nice. So who's ever had an angry boss? So let's look at angry young boss. Yeah? So you have the face. That's a face. Yeah? Is that okay? Angry. Oh. Is that better? Yeah. Angry young boss. So you have this thing we call the yul, or the object that we're apprehending. Okay? You have here your eyeball. This is what the mind only believes. And connected to the eyeball is all the mechanics that connected to your organ. Let's call that the brain. Yeah? So you And let's just take the visual experience of the yelling boss. So according to this, you have your eye, you have your object, you have your eye, which is a physical thing. In the last course, we talked about this as your sense power. Do you remember what that was? The sense power?
No.
No?
Okay.
It's a physical thing, it's actually the cells at the back of your eye. You cannot
Oh, it's
interpret.
the eye consciousness. Yeah.
No, it's different to the eye consciousness.
It's different.
Eye consciousness. I'm going to do this fuzzy. Slightly exaggerated version of what we really got. Okay? I'm doing that for a reason. This is your mind. And they call this, your eye consciousness is your Mickey Nutshell. So that is, let's call it 1. 1, your eye consciousness. 1. And your Mickey 1-4 is 2, which is your faculty. Your physical eye. Yeah? You with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
The you'll, have it in there. I'll explain why in a second. Then you have this. Is your, say, kunshi.
Juicy.
Kunshi is translated as your foundation consciousness, your storehouse consciousness. It's like a pool where all your bakchaks. Say bakchak.
Bakcha.
Bakchak is mental seed, or karmic seed, appearing in the mind. So according to the mind-only school, this is kunchi, this is a bakchak, one of your dark karmas, light karmas, dark karmas. Yeah, you can go negatively charged or positively charged, or you might have some neutral karmas in there. Your karmas are stored, according to mind-only school, your karmas, your bakchaks are stored in this pool, this consciousness separate to the 6 consciousnesses that we've already identified: the eye consciousness, the ear consciousness, the taste consciousness. The 6 senses have their corresponding consciousness, including the mind. The mind-only school has 2 additional ones. One is the kunchi, which is your storehouse, this storehouse of your consciousness. And according to them, this is what happens. You yell at someone, right, in the past. You've yelled at somebody in the past, and that's why you're experiencing somebody yelling at you now. How does that work? How does it happen? So according to them, they're saying that born out of this consciousness, this kunshi, one of your karmas bubbles up and pops into an experience of your eye consciousness, an awareness transmitted through the faculty, the sensing power, because that can't make a judgment that that thing is a shitty boss. That can just say, here is some redness of their cheeks, here's some 2 lines over there. It's just sensing data, and I don't care to what depth you look at it. First of all, it's Colors and shapes, that's all it is. That's all it's transmitting, colors and shapes. And that colors and those colors and shapes are rising in your mind, the consciousness through the eye consciousness, that it is a yelling, angry boss. That's how you experience it, angry. They say that that comes from your collection of karmas, so some yelling you did in the past, produces from those random shapes and colors, those unorganized shapes and colors, yeah? It's just a stick here, a roundness here. The eye can't tell you that's a yelling boss. So what is informing you that that's a yelling boss? What brings up the awareness, the consciousness, that that is angry at me and that it's got a negative charge? What is it? It's what it's saying, but this is the way they say it ripens. First of all, they're saying that when this karma ripens, so you're engaged with an object that's got roundness, redness, harshness, sharp edges, or whatever you call it, yeah? It can only sense colors and shapes. That transmits and arises in from here an awareness of what that could be. And because you yelled in the past, it brings to mind that. If you had only positive, beautiful, lovely experiences or neutral experiences, it would look at those colors and shapes, transmit them through the conscious, through the faculty of eye, the rods and cones and the electrical signals that spark in the brain something. But where does the interpreting occur? How does the interpreting come to be a negative experience or a positive experience? If you only have in your storehouse of consciousness positive experiences, it would only ever produce a positive experience from those undefined shapes and colors. Mind only school, I'm saying. Yeah? Not only that, so are you with me so far? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Not only are they saying that this consciousness arose, grew and expanded and popped like a seed, it gave its result of being yelled at because you've yelled at somebody in the past. What they're saying is slightly more radical than that. They're saying, and this is why they're called mind only, that it also produces the conception that you have an eye to sense an object that isn't there anyway. They're saying there is no outer objects. This thing is grouped into one big thing. They're saying the eye faculty and what it captures is produced out of the same seed that produced the eye consciousness. What do you say to that?
So we're constantly karma's right. Moment after moment to see and feel and touch and have every sense.
They're saying it's your mind observing itself, interacting with itself, producing charges by itself, for itself.
For constant reckoning of sensation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where to start.
So there's no interaction whatsoever?
This is mind only school. Okay, there's no what?
There's no interaction
What?
whatsoever?
It took too long.
Yeah,
Your planning is not going anywhere.
What do you mean?
It's within your own mind and it's not happening outside.
So what is your eye? So let's say I'm yelling at you. Okay? What's your eye catching? Let's only go through the eye.
Like,
Light. Where is it sensing on that?
my
Back of your eye in the. What do we know in science?
retinal nerve.
And then the optic nerve.
And it goes to the brain.
And then
And that's it.
a spark happens somewhere. A neuron connection. Yeah. And then
Chemicals fly.
chemicals flow. Well, something compels you to yell back after your chemicals flooded your brain.
Then you
With-
have more electricity.
At some point, you had to have a conception that the colors and shapes that were not interpreted by the eye is somebody angry yelling at you, yeah? Or offensive yelling at you. Where did that come from? according to this school, it's in some kind of pool of all your collected deeds of all time, and up it pops because it was the right time. Because here are some things that match with that. The timing for writing occurred, for numbing occurred, and so all you're sensing is 2 sticks, 2 rounds, 1 big round, some redness, and your mind has grabbed that and produced a consciousness and awareness, apprehended that as the thing that was stored in you. But they're saying not only that, they're saying the very fact that you're having a perception of seeing is in itself just a perception, meaning it's just a karmic ripening, it is just in your mind observing itself. That's why they call the mind-only school.
So are there separate mind streams, or are we all part of
I
it?
love that question.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll never know.
Are there,
Are there separate mind streams,
are there separate mind streams?
or are we all part of the same mind?
Or are we all part of the same mind? I'm
I'm
trying to
doing
make
this
that.
to myself, aren't I? No, that's okay.
Before you box that off, I was going to ask how do they account for the timing of that event happening? But I guess
Good, no, good question, good question. Yeah. Why did it happen now, not later?
Right.
Good. So this is where it gets tricky, yeah, and this is why it's such an important class, because we're entering into the edges of understanding, both of science, as we think, our truth is right now, science. We get to the edge. Why did that spark produce this and not that? Because somebody's seeing the boss yell at me, here's the same desert loss, here's the same shape, and it's a pleasurable object for them, because they're seeing me getting fired. And it's a completely unpleasant experience for me, really. The two things that are exactly the same thing happening out there, yeah, but in here, it is a completely negative apprehension of that data. And there, it's a positive apprehension of the same data. Yeah?
But by what you just said, that data
Mhm.
doesn't
Data.
doesn't even exist.
Mhm.
And this is the first time we've actually said nominal reality doesn't. Like we've always, in my experience, we've skirted around
We skirted
that issue.
around. Good, good. It is time.
No,
not
take off the
skirt.
skirt.
It is time. This is why I want you to think and be troubled by that thought. A little.
I'm not.
You're not?
Only because this is the third school and there's one more school and that's the high school.
And that's one. Remember I said there's
No, I
subtle
thought this
difference.
was the
She's
first
in
one.
that
No,
this is the high school.
Wait, but I
No, but it should help you because
Yeah.
it's so close to what's really happening. So there is, so the mind only, it's so close to what's really happening. Yeah? What boss out there yelling at you exists separate to the one in your eye consciousness?
right.
Where is he or her? Your experience of them, where is that? So there's some validity in the mind-only school that says, so it should help you get to a point, and then you get to that point, and we go into turmoil because it can't be all alone. You can't just be, because you can punch me, and that hurts. Or the boss can fire me, and that hurts. They can also give you a raise, and that feels good. So what do you mean there's no other mind streams? That's a perfect question. Are there other mind streams?
Well, we also heard that there are many Buddhas.
Are there other mind? Let me ask you a strong question. Should we care? Well, it seems to be important enough to freak a lot of people out. If there's nothing out there.
It appears.
So we are on
It
the-
appears that there are other mind streams.
Excellent. And this is where you have to be really good at jumping at nominal reality and ultimate reality. We're trying to get to, this is a nominal explanation of what's really happening. Why it's happening, karma and emptiness is next. Yeah? So this is a nominal explanation. This is what mind only belief really is happening. There's an apprehension of a thing through your eye consciousness, through your eye faculty. So this has gone dark and light and shape. Yeah? this has gone light and dark in shape. And the consciousness has given it a label of angry boss. And they're saying that the source of that comes from you having this anger and yelling at others. In a way, it makes beautiful sense. Wouldn't it make sense if this was the true nature of how things got experienced? Let's deal with the separate mind streams later, and whether things exist out there or not, a little later. Because that's one of the differences that the high school is going to say. You got most of it right, but, yeah? Doesn't it make sense that if your world comes from karma, if your world, your entire existence, appears from the movements of your mind, it should also create the awareness, it should create, if suffering occurs to you, and suffering was caused by you causing suffering to others, it would make sense that all aspects of the suffering are produced by what you did. From the object, or the way the object is apprehended through the faculty, emerging from the kunchi, and the consciousness. Not just my interpretation of it. Because if you do start going down that road, you have to, we are always looking for self-existent. Is there a real self-existent boss yelling at me? It's got to be another mind stream that's yelling at me. Is there ever a mind stream separate to you perceiving a mind stream? Now we're going to press some deepers.
But this is saying that there's nothing out
Mind only is saying,
there. Well, they do say that.
they absolutely say that.
Aren't they even saying there's no out there or in there?
That's why they're saying mind only. That's why they're called mind only. They're saying,
Doesn't that contradict what we've been?
correct.
Isn't this like nihilism?
Yeah.
But if you think of it as an evolution, going from a very self-existent way of thinking to a mind-only way of thinking, it must have seemed very
It's
revolutionary.
very revolutionary.
And
Even
then-
this is very revolutionary. Now, the Madhyamika Prasangika school says, no, you've got something wrong. There is stuff.
Gone too far.
What they said is also it's in your mind.
Okay, I'll give you a hint, okay? But and I'm not ever going to clarify it today or this course until maybe, well, I can't clarify, number one, for you. Yeah? For your mind, I can't clarify.
Well, you're just a part of my
Because
mind.
it's-
You're a part of my mind anyway. So-
So here's the difference to clarify, because I know we're all there. Okay, we're there. This says no outer objects at all. Madhyamika Prasangika said, look, there's a couple of differences we have with you. Number one, you don't need a whole new consciousness to store karma. I like the idea because you think you have to find a separate place for it. The Madhyamika Prasangika, the highest view, says it is kept in the rolling of mind from moment to moment. The nominal me, who I am, the whole identity of who I am, from moment to moment that shifts, right? That changes. With the one conception that I am Hector for this life, right? There's something similar about me between birth and death. When I kick the bucket, that me, the nominal me, is finished. The Hector-ness is finished. That whole one karma is gone. But mind continues. All the impulses move over to the next self-grasping me, which I might call Hectorina next life. I don't know what she'll be called. Right? So the Prasangika view, the high school say, you don't need a separate space to hold this karma. So you can still have the 6 consciousnesses and the all-encompassing one, the whole identity of I, of me, that's where karma is. It's carried from moment to moment. And it tumbles to the next, and it tumbles to the next, until it's time to write it. That's no problem. One difference, yeah, between the mind-only school and the Prasangika, which is the school that we're learning from. Yeah? The other one comes to your question of, well, is there stuff out there? You know? And can you ever prove it? And this is where they're a little sneaky in a healthy way. They say, let's look at that question. Let's look at the roundness. Let's break up the face of the yelling boss to see if there's really something out there separate to my apprehending it through my faculty of eye, and then through my consciousness arising because of what my eye faculty sends. So you get where I'm at? Let's look at the object out there, what my eye is seeing, and let's break it down. So the Prasangikas say, let's take the roundness of that face. So remove the eye, remove the mouth, let's look at the roundness. Break it down to its parts. Can you find it, that separate thing, in the roundness? Is the yelling boss in the roundness? Is there something that you can confirm as true and valid when you separate the parts? Is there a yelling boss, or is there a roundness? My eyes apprehending roundness? So okay, is it really apprehending roundness? Let's look at the left side of the roundness. Okay, so it's apprehending a half a roundness. Is it really apprehending a half a roundness? I'm not sure. Let's look at the top half of the half roundness. Is it apprehending the top half and then the bottom half to create a half, and then the half and the other half to apprehend the whole? They're saying you're going to go into an infinite regression. You will never find it, but there is stuff there. They're saying there is stuff there with which your eye faculty engages, but you can never find it. The ultimate nature of that stuff is empty. It's empty of having any existence from its own side. You cannot find it. Infinite regression. And in fact, we're doing that in science. We're doing that going down quantum physics all the way down to string theory, and then next year it'll be something more and something that you can't. As soon as you find something, you can divide it in half. What makes up that thing? There's something to the left of that, something to the right. What makes up that thing? And you will do an emptiness meditation. That's how you get to an emptiness meditation. You pick an object. This is one way of getting into an emptiness meditation. You get one object and say, where is it? Where am I? Am I my mind? Am I my body? Am I something else? So you start looking everywhere in your body. You look here, the foot. Here. You remove the foot. Am I still here? Yeah, you know, and you do the same with the mind. The mind comprises of memories and emotions. And, okay, if I remove that emotion, am I still here? So the Prasangika views say, leave it alone. You can't find the boss. You come up empty. You will get to the ultimate nature of that object. The ultimate nature of that object is that it doesn't exist from its own side. That we are only ever experiencing that thing. There's stuff out there for us to impute onto.
Is this where the phrase unexamined is there?
Exactly.
Examined,
Yeah.
it's not there.
So for example, for the phrase the unexamined me is where karma is stored. Yeah, the nominal me. Just the plain old sense of me. That's what karma rolls from moment to moment to moment to moment. So mind only school says nothing out there. It's all butt chucks, the karmic seeds bubbling up into this pool of consciousness, which is the storehouse of everything you do, everything you think, everything you say. It forces you don't have a choice, it forces you to interpret data that is born from the same seed as the interpretation. So the data, the eye consciousness, the eye faculty and its object, the lines and shapes and colors, the thing that apprehends it, and the experience, the consciousness, are all coming out of the same seed of consciousness. It's just mind looking at itself. You're yelling at yourself, is what mind only is saying. You're only ever getting angry at yourself. Before that's saying. And that is so close to the way it functions, according to the Prasangika, that it's useful to understand. But there is stuff out there, according to the Prasangika. You can't find it nominally. You can find its quality, its ultimate nature, by looking for it. Because when you look for it, you come up
empty.
That's what emptiness means in the Prasangika school. In this school, emptiness means a different thing. In this school, emptiness means, and I'll tell you why it's important to talk about these different schools. In this school, emptiness means the way things appear, the object being apprehended through the faculty of the eye and the eye consciousness are empty of having separate natures. They're empty of coming from separate things. They come from the same seed. That's what that means. Emptiness in the mind-only school, just make sure I got the right quote. The perceiver and the perceived are empty of having any separate substance. That's the quote. The perceiver and the perceived are empty of having a separate substance. They come from the same thing.
Is that coincidentally the same as Mahamudra 3, or it is Mahamudra 3 because it's from the third school? No.
Separate substance.
But
this is the person who did.
no, this is mind
No,
only.
no.
Mind only. So why talk about mind only? Why talk about prasangika? Why did we start off with Majjhimika? Why did we start off with Abhidhamma? It is important to know that as these ideas come into the West, that there are different maps that you can look at a certain terrain. And each map will help you get to a limit. And that limit will help you get to your goal or not get to your goal. Sometimes Google Maps doesn't know the one-way streets and you get lost in the other way. But it will help you get to the general location. Yeah? Or a big view, a tiny view, etc. So, as these ideas come to the West, in most centers that I've gone to, or in most places that talk about karma, the ideas are all jumbled up. That people don't have an understanding of what karma means. That what's the difference between this view and a prasangika view is vitally important if you're really trying to make this work. If you're just interested because it's something interesting from the East, fine, you can mix it all up, it makes no difference. But if you're interested in actually saying, if this is true, if there is a storehouse that's carrying the nominal me, and that produces my every existence, and now I can manipulate the charge of these things as they come up to create an experience of freedom from suffering in this life, then we have some kind of heavy responsibility now to understand its function. And we have 3 tool sets or 4 tool sets depending on how we understand. What I didn't cover there was the second school, the Sutra school, and that really has the key to emptiness. Maybe we'll get to cover it before, and that's understood by all the schools. There's this one text called Chi Kshetra, this idea of Chi Kshetra, which explains emptiness and why it functions and how it functions. And we'll talk about how it functions in relation to karma before the end of the course. And then we'll cover the 4 schools in the understanding of karma. And as you walk through your terrain, you should bring to mind the parts of the map that help you get there. It's vitally important to know when you're on close or when you're off. Let's have a 10-minute break and then I'll come back and close, answer any questions. But it's got heavy implications. If this is how karma truly works, with the 2 changes by the prasangika, this is how your life comes to you. This is how every suffering is experienced by you, not somewhere out there, in your entire consciousness, in your consciousness, in you, in your storehouse. You can. We'll talk about how then you can get to manipulate your karmas as they come and what you do to them as you move forward. Let's take a 10-minute break. We'll see you at 10 past 9. Oh, and I've got printouts of that for you.
Announcement.
Announcement.
Oh, this. The bake sale.
Do the announcement after the break.
After the break?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be all fresh.
Okay.
Thanks.
You call.
I was trying to be responsible.
Valentine's, how are you?